Welcome back. Canada is looking to boost trade with other North American trading partners, namely Mexico, as both countries try to work out a trade agreement with the volatile U.S. under President Trump. So there is a meeting happening right now involving Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne and Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand in Mexico City. It's today and tomorrow. The talks are expected to cover not only trade, but the larger relationship between the two countries. I want to bring in Colin Robertson now. He's a former Canadian diplomat and NAFTA negotiator, currently vice president at the Canadian Global Affairs Institute. Hi there, Colin. Great to have you with us.
Good to be with you again, Marcia.
So a lot of people might be thinking, well, don't we already have a strong trading relationship with Mexico, given that we're in CUSMA together? What can be done to build on the trading between Canada and Mexico at this point, in your view?
Well, certainly in terms of the CUSMA, we want to keep the North American framework in place with the United States. We both have shared interests in coming to agreement with President Trump for, first of all, avoiding the heavy tariffs that he's imposing on the rest of the world, because we do have the CUSMA, as we call it, in place. The Mexicans call it slightly different. We all have different names. The Americans call it USMCA, but that's important. At the same time, we want to get the relationship going again. It's been on fairly troubled waters, especially with the last Mexican president, Lopez Obrador, AMLO as we've called him, where there's major disagreements on judicial reforms the Mexicans were taking, and also the Mexicans were unhappy with how they saw some of our mining companies behaving. So the relationship was fairly tenuous. So this is actually both a restart of the relationship under the Carney government and then taking stock of what we can do together to preserve that North American framework that we have currently, but which is up for review next year, but of course is under immediate threat because of the Trump tariffs.
So in what sectors or industries do you think trade could be improved, Colin?
Well, we're big in mining, and I think that's something. We're big in resources, energy. We Bank of Nova Scotia is down there, so banking's a piece of it. And of course, tourism's important. It's something their current Mexican ambassador to Canada was set up to encourage even more tourism. 2 million Canadians a year go down to Mexico to enjoy the sand and surf and tequila. So there are opportunities for us, but I think from our perspective, we'd like to see more Mexican investment in Canada. They invested a few years ago in major food processing, bimbo in terms of Canada bread, but we would like to see more investment by Mexicans in Canada, more tourism from Mexico to Canada. And what can we do, as you point out, together? We've got this highly integrated North American market. What can we do to sustain that, especially if the United States is less inclined to work with either of us? Are there things we can do together? Mexico is also a good entree into the rest of the Americas.
Mexico did receive a 90-day reprieve from Donald Trump last week. We did not. What are they doing differently? Is there something that we can learn from Mexico?
Well, I think we both take stock. They've tended to play their cards held very closely to their vest, whereas we've been pretty much out there in front and took retaliatory tariffs. The Mexico did not, for example. We've taken two different approaches. I think it's reflective of where our publics have been and where our governments at the time are. I think we'll probably wind up in roughly the same place, but we have taken, as you point out, a different approach, much more on the Canadian side in your face, which is probably in many ways the best way to deal with Donald Trump, whereas Claudia Sheinbaum has played possum and has said, oh, we'll provide more troops at the border and we'll do this, but she's basically not said a lot.
All right, we're going to leave it there for today. Former Canadian diplomat and NAFTA negotiator, currently vice president at the Canadian Global Affairs Institute, Colin Robertson. Always great.